All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give a couple more minutes to get started here with the webinar today. A few more minutes for folks to come in.
Good afternoon. We haven't started yet.
And let's see. Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I saw that I was on mute. Okay, so we are now starting. So I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. I think we have a good series for you, and it's exciting. We're going to talk about starting a business in this series. And I'd like to thank our sponsor today, who is Department of Social Services, DSS, as most of y'all know them. They are supporting this to help folks get more entrepreneurial education. And also, this workshop series is presented to you by the Small Business Development Center, which is known as the SBDC. It's an SBA program. And our mission is to help small businesses be more successful. And we do that through one-on-one consulting, confidential and free. We do that through educational workshops, webinars like we're doing today, and we do that through connecting you with resources. Because our jobs as consultants is to really know all the resources that are out there for businesses, and connect you as fast and expediently as possible to those resources. So we focus a lot of our time on understanding what's going on in the business community, so that we can help you, start and grow your business more efficiently. So we have with us during the series several consultants out of our office at South Carolina State University. My name is Jim Johnson. I'm the region director of the SBDC at South Carolina State. And we have with us today Gary Robinson, who is a business consultant, and he will be going over business planning, which is the webinar for today. And as y'all know, business planning is, to us, a critical component of starting a business or growing a business. You should always have a plan in place. And, without a plan or a vision, the people perish. I think that's a biblical verse. So there's wisdom in those words. So having a plan is very important. And so Gary Robinson is going to talk to us about that today. And there will be two other parts of the webinar series. It's a three-part series. First part is the business plan. The second part will go into marketing, which is also an important aspect of business. And then we'll wind it up with financial management. Now, Karina Aiken will be the speaker for the marketing section. She's also a business consultant. And the financial management will be Pam Free and myself discussing record keeping and funding. So as y'all know, funding is, cash is that's the lifeblood of business. So you definitely need to consider that aspect of starting and growing the business. So happy that we're able to offer this to you all. And, throughout the series, I hope you can join all the series. But if you can't make one of the webinars for one reason or another, we are recording these webinars, and we will email them out to registered folks so that you can catch it if somehow you missed. So there will be that opportunity. Also, we have all our emails here. If you ever want to reach out and ask a question of one of us, we would be glad to help you. I mean, that's what we're here for. And between all four of us, we have been involved in business development for decades. I can't even add it up the number of years all of us together have worked in it. I know that for myself, I was in business for 20 years, and I've operated three different businesses, from a restaurant to a medical supply to a property management company. And your speaker for today, Gary Robinson, has a degree in entrepreneurship from Hampton University and has been an entrepreneur for many years and has been helping entrepreneurs for countless number of years. I don't know how many different folks he's helped start businesses, but you essentially have an expert here and a great presenter to review this business plan section. So Gary, I'm gonna let you take it from there. Take over.
All righty, let's do this. Let me see if I can, Jim, can I share my screen? Okay, let me get my screen shared here. All righty. All right, so you should be seeing, it says business planning crash course. Hopefully that's what you see on your screen. If you don't, please raise your hand, let me know if you don't see this. Okay, so real quickly, just to recap a little bit, just add on what Jim said earlier. And also let me know if my volume is not loud enough, if you can't hear me well. So hopefully my volume is good. Okay, yeah. So I've been in business myself since I was a teenager, incorporated my first business in the state of Georgia at the age of 18. So I've owned a business now. I've been in business for 30 years. I started helping and consulting people in 1998. So I've been doing that for over 20 years. I've been a government contractor, had 7 government contracts at one point. I've owned an IT business, did $5 million worth of business with the IT company. So done a couple things. So and here I am, and I love what I do. And hopefully that will come out in this session today. So I hope everyone enjoys this. And also feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. And if one of my other colleagues could help me with any questions, that would be helpful. Okay. All right, so let's get this party started. Okay, so again, as Jim said, we're going to go over business planning, and there are a couple of different parts that we're going to cover today. So first, we're going to understand why we're doing this in the first place. There are many different reasons why someone would do this. Some are legitimate reasons, some are not. So we will definitely discuss those. We will talk about the business canvas. Now, this is a new thing that has come up in the last 10 to 15 years. It's a shorter form of a business plan. So we will definitely go over that. Okay. And let's see here. We're going to also cover research. Okay. You definitely want to do your research before you dig a ditch for yourself with your business. Okay. All right. And we're going to talk about the financials just a little bit. We're not going to go too deep into financials, but we will cover the basics on it. We'll cover the management plan that goes into your overall business plan. We'll talk about the operational section of it. And then lastly, we'll do a brief overview of the marketing. So basically, we're going to cover most of the big parts that go into a business plan today, but we're just going to cover the basics. We're not going to dig really deep into any one of these topics. So our other sessions will go into more detail on some of the other pieces. Okay. All right. So what's the cause of business failure? Okay. When someone starts a business, the number one reason why businesses go out are because of a lack of capital. Also, in addition to that, inadequate management experience. A lot of people start a business because they know how to make a widget. They know how to cut hair. They may know how to make a product. They may know how to do a particular type of service, but they don't know the business end of running a business, the non-core functions like marketing, accounting, finance, IT, and those types of things. Okay. And then also operational and infrastructure failures. Again, a lot of times people start a business and they think that because they know how to create whatever their product or service is, they don't think about the other operational functions that have to go along with making that business operate. And a lot of times when you're starting a business, it may be just you, it may be a couple of partners, but then when you start adding and needing to add people, it gets harder to manage a business. So sometimes if you don't have those operational things in place, it can cause you to have a business failure. Okay. And then, of course, poor marketing. And this is another one of those big issues. A lot of people don't see the necessity for marketing. They seem to think that just because they start a business that people are going to know about it. Trust me, I've had a lot of clients that this is the way that they think. So it's not totally odd for someone to think, I created a business, I put it on Facebook, I put it on Twitter, the world should know about me. It's not that easy. So marketing is something that has to be focused in on. Okay. All right. So as we're getting into this, why are you going to torture yourself with creating this business plan? Why do you want to go through this process? Okay. So let's understand your why. Because usually somebody told you that you needed one. Now, doesn't necessarily you know why, but I'm pretty sure if you went to a bank or you talked to somebody who ran a business before, everybody would basically tell you you should have a business plan. Okay. But again, not a very good reason why to do it. Okay. To give it to someone else, like a banker or an investor. Now, this is true. Okay. So if you're going into a bank and you want to borrow money or you want to bring on an investor, they're going to want to see a business plan to get a better idea of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay. But again, that's you getting this and putting this plan together for someone else and not really for yourself. You're doing it because you're motivated because somebody else wants to have it. Okay. Now you need to completely think through the business and understand all of your needed components. Now, this is the real reason why you need a business plan. You need it so that you completely understand your business from top to bottom. You need to completely understand who you are and what you're doing. And I'm talking about you personally, but I'm also talking about your business. You need to know all four corners of your business and everything within the four corners of your business. Okay. And you need a roadmap for setting and accomplishing goals. So knowing yourself is one big thing. Understanding your business plan helps you to know who you are, but it is also a roadmap for how do you get the train on the rails and get it moving in the direction that you want to go in. All right. So a couple quick tips. Be clear about who you are. Create a mission statement for the business and stick to it. Now, I know some organizations out here, they may change their mission statement, every 5 years, every 10 years. And if you are going to change your overall mission of your business, it should be in some long-term increment, like 5 years, 10 years. But for most for-profit businesses and even nonprofit businesses, changing your mission statement is not really that important. You really want to stick to who are you. Okay. South Carolina State University is a university that does something very specific and for a specific reason. And it's good that the university understands and knows what it's for, and that mission has not changed. So it's important to create that mission and stick to knowing who you are exactly. Okay. Now, in addition to that, and sometimes people flip-flop what they call these things. So you have a mission statement and then you have a vision statement. And sometimes people treat the vision statement as if it's a mission statement. But in this case, I'm going to tell you that the vision statement is really how you envision where you're going. Okay. Where will you be 5 years from now? Okay. Will you be a top competitor locally? Will you be a top competitor competitor in your state or in the nation? What is your industry? Do you want to reach a certain number of clients over a particular period of time? So what do you see as being where your business will be in 5 years? Okay, so create that vision statement and work towards it on a daily basis. Okay, you hear a lot of people talk about visions and dreams and things of that nature. And truly, a vision is something that you wake up to. A vision is something that you work on a daily basis. If you're just dreaming, you're still asleep. So you need to start working on whatever it is that you're trying to do with a business and where you're trying to go. Start on it today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start on it right now and work on it on a consistent basis. All right. So I always like to have these little quick notes. It's good to keep some things in mind as we go along. Okay. So when you're creating a business, you want to sell the problem that you solve, not the product. Okay. A lot of times when we meet people who are starting a business, they fall in love with the thing that they're doing. And they think about it in terms of what they like in it, what they see about it, why it's so great, why it's the next best thing since sliced bread. But the issue is, does your customer see it the same way? And if you're not meeting your customer's need, they are not going to buy whatever it is that you're trying to sell. So you want to make sure that you are addressing the issues that you're solving for your customer. Then it makes it very easy to get them to buy what it is you're selling because they're solving the problem that they have with what you're offering. Okay, so let's jump right into this. So we're going to start with the canvas. Okay, again, the canvas is the short version business plan. It's a one-page document. It allows you to see pretty much everything that you're going to put in your business plan in a single page, okay? Or make it sometimes maybe 2 pages, depending on how long you make it. But for the most part, it is a one-page business plan. Now, this is not the end-all be-all. Depending on what you're doing and what you're trying, where you're trying to go, you still will probably need the long version business plan. But this is a good starting place, okay? Now, there are a couple different versions of the canvas. Okay, so if you go out on the internet and you look up lean canvas, okay, this is the version of it that you're going to see. It's a standardized version. Anyone using the lean canvas, this is exactly what it's going to look like. So you're going to have 9 boxes. Okay, and in these 9 boxes, you will basically put information in here according to these boxes. The reason why the boxes are numbered is because it typically makes sense to do them in this order. So in this case, you would do customer segment, then the problem, then revenue stream, so on and so forth. And there should be a 4 in this box over here where solutions is, but you get the general picture. Now, again, this is one version of a canvas. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of other canvases. This one is called the business model canvas. And again, it's just like the lean canvas. If you go out here on the internet and look for this, this is what you're going to find. So it's basically the same type of thing. There are some key differences. As you can see, there's the customer segment. You see where it says key partners on the far left. If you look at this one, the lean canvas has problems. It does not have key partners on here at all. So value proposition channels, it's basically the same, but there are some minor differences where you see unfair advantages on this one. It has customer relationships in that box area on this one. So the canvases differ, and they differ according to the types of businesses that might use them. Okay, so just to note, the lean canvas is really something that is more suited for a high-tech business, a product-based business, whereas the business model canvas is more for the general business, any type of business. Okay, now that you've seen those, I am going to show you that I created one for myself. So whenever I have a client, I use the one that I created versus using the other 2. And the reason being is this one is more aligned with what your long form business plan is going to have in it. So I still cover the problems, but I add in marketing, You still have customer segments, solutions. So I basically give you the basic underpinning of a long form business plan in this one. So if you ever come and see me, I guarantee you this is the one that you're going to see. But any of these three canvases actually work. Okay. All right. So here's the thing that you need to keep in mind just from the beginning. And as you saw it on the canvases, most of them start with the customer segment. Okay. The customer segment is who you're going after, your target market, your target audience. Okay. This is a rule of thumb that is extremely important for the basis of everything else that you're going to do. Okay. So I guarantee you that if we turned on the microphone, half of the people on here, if we asked you who your target market is, and if you think about it, there are a lot of people who will say, my target market is everybody. Okay. I want to serve everyone. Okay. Now, whereas that part is true, and there's nothing wrong with having everyone come into your business. Okay. At the same time, you want to target a market based upon where do you want to spend your money trying to get someone. Okay. So why would you spend your money if you have a very limited budget on trying to get everyone in the United States versus you have a product that somebody needs to probably pick up? Maybe you should start with your local market versus the larger United States. Okay. So we need to clarify and figure out who is your target market. Now, this is a basic marketing rule of thumb. Okay. Your target market is 20% of all of your customers or your clients, because they're the ones that make up 80% of your revenue. Okay. So you want to really focus in on the 20% that are going to generate 80% of your revenue. It's like taking a layup in basketball versus shooting from half court. Okay. So you want to get close in and know who your target market is so that your dollars will go further and be used more efficiently when you're doing marketing. Okay. All right. So when you're talking about customer segments, then as you saw on the canvas, the next part is usually problems. Okay. And as I started off, you want to solve a problem that your potential customer has. Okay. So you need to figure out, what are your customers' pains? What causes them to want to buy your product? Okay. What are the gains? A gain would be, they weren't expecting this. They didn't ask for something, but they see this additional thing that you're providing them as a gain to what they are getting. Okay. Now, you need to solve that problem first. Okay. So now I'm gonna give you a very basic idea about this. Okay. Let's talk about the food business, and let's talk about your dinner this evening. Okay. You're going to get hungry at some point. That's going to be your pain. That's the first pain that says to you, hey, I got to get something to eat. Okay. Once you get past that, now you have some decisions that you have to make. So first decision most people make, and mind you, this little exercise I'm sharing with you typically happens in most people in a matter of seconds. Okay. Maybe minutes at the most. Okay. So you first say to yourself, I'm hungry. Then the next question becomes, do I want to cook in? Do I want to cook my food, or I want to go out for convenience? I don't feel like cooking, so I'm gonna go out. Okay, so let's assume that decision becomes you want to go out. Next question is going to be, what is it you want to eat? Do you want, or better yet, how much time do you have? Do you want to sit down in the restaurant where it might take you a longer period of time? Or do you want the convenience of fast food so you can get it in minutes and be back home? Okay, so you're going to make that decision. So let's assume you go with you want to eat out. Then it's going to become, do I want a burger? Do I want a sandwich? Do I want seafood? Do I want Chinese food? You're going to think about all of these other selections, and then eventually you will come up with, I want Subway. Okay. Now, in your mind, you're going through the pains and gains. Okay. If I had a burger yesterday, I don't want a burger again today. So I might choose the Subway sandwich because I already had something else. So my pain was, I've been eating hamburgers already. So now I want a sandwich. Okay. So this is what the average customer goes through. So no matter what business you have, what product or service you're selling, in your customer's mind, they are going through these particular processes in their head. Now, we're doing something a little bit differently this time with our workshops. So the thing that we're doing differently this time is we are providing everyone with a case study. So I'm going to put the case study in the chat box. So please take a look at this. We'll be using the same case study through the other workshops. So take the time after this session finishes, and in the next couple of days or so, read over the case study so that you understand what the case study is all about. So I am going to flip over to the case study real quickly and show it to you. And then we are going to come back to this. So, and you guys let me know if you don't see it. Right now, you should be seeing my browser. If you don't, please just let me know. But this is the case study. So the case study is for a company called Valesca. It's an Italian shoe company, okay? And with Valesca, this gentleman started the company back in, I believe, 2012. And what he makes is he makes designer shoes. He makes customized, high quality shoes. Okay, and so when you read this this case study, you will see how he came up with this. So I'm gonna kind of breeze through what's written here, and then we're gonna go back to what we were working on. So in this, he started these shoes because he couldn't find high quality shoes when he was working in Singapore. Okay, now everything that I'm about to show you in terms of doing a business plan, he admits in this case study that he didn't do any of this. He didn't do any amount of research. He just kind of shot from the hip. And it just so happened that in his case, it worked out for him. Okay. So he didn't actually test market anything. He didn't know anything about his customer when he got started. He had no customers, not even people, you know, friends or family that he would go to. He had none of those things up front. Okay, so please take the time to read this case study, and then I'm pretty sure that all of this, you're going to understand why we're going through what we're going through with this workshop once you read this case study. So we'll come back and we will discuss some more about Valesca, and the guy's name who started, his name is Enrico. So we'll come back and we will talk about everything we're talking about using him as the example. Okay. All right, so back to our presentation. Okay, so again, problems. You're solving someone's problem. You want to create a solution to their problem so that you can have success in your business, okay? So before you do anything, I know a lot of people are going to be in a rush to start a business. You're so excited that you want to get something done. You want to make some money. You know, you really want to get out of a job or something like that. There's something that is saying to you, you want to start this business and you're ready to go. Okay. Slow down, slow your roll. Okay. Let's make sure that we have everything in place first so that you can do it right the first time. A lot of business failures come from not doing the homework first. Okay. So let's be clear about doing the homework. Okay. All right. So what I usually do with my clients is I take them through a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis is what you need in order to do proper research on a business idea. So this is an Excel spreadsheet that I can send to anyone who wants it. And this Excel spreadsheet is how you do a SWOT analysis. So there are a couple different parts that you need to know about. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, so the top boxes are the strengths and the weaknesses. Okay, strengths stand for, all right, yes, strengths stand for what you have internally to you, your business, your team. What are your strengths? Okay, then we're going to look at what are your weaknesses. So across the top has to do with your internal operations of your business and who you are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay. Then the parts on the left-hand side are the external factors. External factors being what are the opportunities that exist externally from you, and then what are the threats to your business that are external to you. So the bottom box are the threats, okay? So you put strengths in the first box, weaknesses in the second, threats, opportunities in the third box, and threats in the bottom box, okay? Now, your four internal boxes here has to do with how you look at those things in combination to one another, okay? And yes, I will absolutely be sure to send this out to everyone, okay? So in box one, you want to take a look at your strengths and how they relate to your opportunities, okay? So how can you maximize your strengths to take advantage of an opportunity, okay? In the second box, this is where weaknesses meet opportunities. How do you minimize your weaknesses so that you can take advantage of an opportunity? And then the third box is where strengths meet threats. How do you maximize your strengths in order to avoid a threat? And then the last box is how can you minimize your weaknesses so that you can avoid a threat? Okay, so you want to come up with strategies, and you want to put these strategies in these boxes. Okay, and those are the things that are going to help shape your business plan. It's going to help you come up with what is your unique value proposition. What makes your business special? What makes your business, what do you have as a competitive advantage that makes you better than your competitors? Well, I guarantee you, if you do this exercise and you look at these four boxes, you're going to find some really unique things about you, your business, and what you're trying to do that's going to make you stand out above the rest. Okay. So now let's get into this a little bit more. So your internal factors include what are your products and services? Okay. How are you setting up your operations? What are you doing to market your business? How's your management team? What do your financials look like? And what are your intangibles? Okay. So all of these things should be pretty self-explanatory. And even if your business hasn't started yet, think about your design, how you're setting up your operations, the people who you want to bring on your management team. What are the strengths and weaknesses of what you're trying to create? Okay. But if you already have a business, then you should be able to answer these things as well. Okay. Now, the last one is the one that I'm going to address because it may be the one that you guys don't quite understand, which would be what are the intangibles? Okay. So I'm going to use a well-known example, then you'll see what I'm talking about. The McDonald's arches. That is an intangible asset. It's not something that you can put necessarily a value on, but nonetheless, those golden arches mean something. Just about anyone in the United States knows exactly what those golden arches mean. Probably most people in the developed world probably knows what those golden arches mean. So that is an intangible asset. Okay. So what are some other intangible assets that you have? I'll give you a good example. If you're part of a fraternity or sorority, that would be an intangible asset. I graduated from an HBCU. That's a network of people. That's an intangible asset. On the flip side, if you went to a PWI, chances are you have the same type of network, just maybe a little different, but you still have a network of people that you can go to. Okay, question, Garrett. Oh, yes, absolutely. We'll definitely take a look at that and be sure to send that. Okay. So intangibles are the things that you cannot touch, things that you can't place a value on, but nonetheless, these are things that will make a difference as to how well your business runs and the success of your business. Okay. All right. So now let's look at some of the external factors. Okay. Your target market, the demographics, the trends of your market. Not only that, what's the behavioral thoughts and patterns of your target market? So you definitely want to consider them as an external factor. Sometimes I have known businesses and clients, they thought they understood their target market, but then when they started putting their information out, they actually were turning off their target market. But that was because they did not have a clear understanding of the behavioral, cultural types of things that affect the target market. Okay. Economy. What's going on in the world? Where are people spending their money? If you are running the type of business where, let's say you are where you have to transport things, then transportation costs is going to make a difference. So if, just like we had the gas line that got interrupted, if you're in the type of business where you're dependent on gas, then whenever the world has those types of interruptions, it will affect your business. So these are the types of things that you need to understand, the rest of the economy and how the economy affects your business. And this pandemic actually was a great example of this. If you were in the grocery store business, then you probably did extremely well during this pandemic era. And the reason being is because everybody's got to eat and nobody wants to go sit in a restaurant. So guess what? People are eating at home more often. So there was a huge benefit to businesses like that. Another example would be just the stock market. A lot of people got money from the pandemic response and stimulus checks. Well, hey, if I didn't need that stimulus money to put food on my plate, then I'm taking that extra money and I probably invested it on the stock market. So there are a lot of things that benefited during the pandemic. And then there's some businesses like the airline business that struggled a lot during this. So the economy and what goes on are major factors in how this thing goes on. Okay. Industrial trends, industry trends. Okay. Whatever business you're in a specific industry, and your industry probably does not operate the same as others. Give you a good example. If you are in the car business, then you probably know what a floor plan is. Okay, well, most other businesses have no clue what a floor plan is. So there are some things that are very specific to certain types of businesses, and you need to know those things that are attached to your business. The political and legal environment, you definitely need to know about that. And because those are the types of things that can make or break your business. For instance, let's say that you are making cosmetics, okay? You're making some type of facial cream. We've had a number of clients that have come and wanted to sell those types of things, but they wanted to be able to say, oh, this will solve your eczema, or this will solve asthma or something like that, or it'll have all these other things that are what they call medical claims. Okay, you can make those products, you just can't make those medical claims because you would be breaking the law without you having those products tested appropriately in order for you to make such claims. So those are some of the small things that you need to know about the legal and political environment that also will affect your business. Environment. Okay, are you making something that it affects the environment? I have clients that run car garages. Okay, so they have oil and all other types of chemicals that are on their property. All of those things have to be cleaned up, and there is an expense to ensuring that those things are disposed of correctly. So your business may have an environmental issue that you need to take into account. Give you another good example. If you're buying a piece of property, and let's say the property that you're buying used to be a gas station. Okay, a gas station has gas tanks underneath the ground. So in order for you to use that property, unless you're turning it back into a gas station, you have to have those tanks removed. Okay, that's what they call brownfielding. Okay, that's an environmental concern, and it is something that you have to be able to take care of. So there's small things like that in terms of environment that could impact your business. And then, of course, socio-cultural types of issues. Just a quick note. This is always a interesting discussion. Jeremy Lin is a basketball player, and he decided to get dreadlocks a couple of years ago. And there was some debate about it because there was one particular Black player that had something to say about him and his locks. And then Jeremy Lin basically said, well, you have Chinese hieroglyphs on your arms, so you're sharing in my culture, I'm sharing in yours. Okay, there are cultural things that are going to make a difference that could hurt or harm your business. If you live in Orangeburg, there's a business at the end of town, right at the Rose Gardens, where there's a Confederate flag outside. There was a business that bought the business at that location, but they thought they owned the flagpole and they didn't. And because that Confederate flag was still hanging there, that business went out of business. This made national news. So these are some things from a social, cultural standpoint that also make a difference on whether or not your business will survive or fail. So had they known that they could not take that Confederate flag down, I'm pretty sure those people would not have bought that particular location. So just goes to show you how those things will affect your business. And then there is the competition, okay? The competition, that's one next to the target market. Competition is next in line, okay? Now, at the same time that we've had clients say that everybody is their target market, we have also had clients that have come to us and they say they don't have any competition. Well, I guarantee you there is no business that you're going to have or create that does not have competition, okay? But it is about how you look at or perceive what competition is, okay? A competition is not necessarily that somebody makes exactly what you make. It's not about that. What it really is about is there an alternative to what you're offering? So let's go back to the food example, okay? Although you may make a bread bowl that nobody else in Orangeburg makes, it's still food, okay? And so my alternatives are all other types of food, okay? That's your competition. It is based upon, are there alternatives that someone else can use to solve their problem versus using what you have? So when you think of competition, think of it in terms of what are the alternatives? If a person has the problems that they have, what are the other things that they might do to solve their problem other than use your products or services? So this is a very key thing to take into consideration. Okay, so now let's jump into the financials. Okay, one of my favorite parts. Okay, now some of you guys may be familiar with the accounting equation and some of you guys may not. I will tell you that if you've never seen this equation, you use it every day in your own personal lives because it's tied to everything that we do that's financial, okay? So if you own assets, houses, cars, land, businesses, all of those things are assets. Assets equal liabilities plus equity, okay, in general. Okay, I'm gonna get to the rest of the equation in a minute. Assets are the things that you own. The other side of the equation is how did you buy it? How did you finance it? Liabilities would be you borrowed someone else's money in order to get the assets, okay? Equity is your own money. So either you borrowed money from someone else or you used your own money, okay? Now, what is retained earnings? Retained earnings is the money that you made in a previous period, okay? So we just did taxes. So any money that you made and you had left over in 2020 is considered retained earnings because you still have it, but you didn't make it this year. So it's retained from last year. So it's retained earnings, okay? Then you have income and expenses. Income is what we're all about, okay? So if you own a business, then the idea is you want to sell a product or service that's going to generate some income, okay? If you have a job, you get paid a check, a compensation check. That's your income, okay? And then, of course, we have things that we buy and sell, and all the time. So whenever you spend money, that's an expense, okay? Now, the income was yours, the expenses were yours. That's why both of those things are on the equity side, okay? So assets are paid for, the equal sign, by someone else, liabilities, or from you, equity. And you either made money from income or you had expenses, and the rest of it that's left over is your retained earnings, okay? So you need to understand this in order for you to truly understand your business financials, okay? That's the basics. Now, from that, there are two financial statements that whenever you go try to get money from a bank or from an investor, chances are they're going to want to see your income statement and your balance sheet. Okay, so since we just went over the accounting equation, I'm going to start with the balance sheet. So the balance sheet basically is that equation. So you start with the assets and then you have the liabilities. So assets being cash, any types of investments, real estate, equipment, anything that holds a value for longer than a year is considered an asset. Okay. Liabilities would be loans, other types of debt that you might have. If you get your utility bill, it's a liability until you pay it. Okay. So anyone that you owe money to would be some form of a liability. All right. So then you have your income and your income, your profit loss statement. So the other statement outside of the balance sheet is the income statement, or is also referred to as a profit loss statement. Okay. So what it's basically showing you is this is the income that you made minus the expenses. And if it was in the positive, you made a profit. If it's in the negative, you have a loss. Okay. So the income, you need to understand what affects your income. Okay. So if you have a product that you're selling, okay, then unit cost is going to make a difference. Okay. The number of units that you make. Okay. The cost of goods. Okay. Cost of goods sold has to do with what were the costs that went into you producing whatever that product or service is. Okay. If you're selling a service, how many hours did it take you to produce the service? Okay. And then of course, price. So these are some of the things that go into determining how much income you actually make. Okay. Now, in addition to that, early adopters. Okay. We're going to talk about that briefly. Early adopters are those friends and family that you have that you know are willing to buy products or services from you when you're first getting started. It is very important that you have those early adopters. And going back to the case study that we have, when you read it, what you'll find out is Enrico didn't have any early adopters. Okay. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, the first thing that they always ask after, if they love whatever it was that they got presented, then the next question is going to be, have you sold any? How many units have you sold of whatever? Okay. If you haven't sold anything, most times on Shark Tank, they won't do any business with you. And that's true with most things when it comes to going to a bank or whatever. The bank wants to see that you've actually started and ran a business. One of the most frustrating things I've ever experienced is going to the bank and not being able to get a loan because they'll tell you, hey, you need to be in business for 2 years before you can get a bank loan. Okay. Well, the whole reason why they have that requirement is because they want to see that you've actually gone out and you've generated some business, that you have some early adopters. People are willing to pay you. So they want to see that you're off the ground. Banks don't like dealing with startups. Okay. That's just a general rule of thumb. Okay. That's not always the case, but it is generally the case. So you definitely want to do something, get started, and have some early adopters. Okay. Then you also want to have a growth rate. Okay. Growth rate being, okay, so you started off, you got a couple early adopters, you told some other people about what you're doing. So hopefully you're selling more and more and you're reaching more and more people. So your income is going up over time. So you want to know that you are growing at some rate of speed. Okay. So you definitely need to do all of those things. Now, here's the key thing. My wife actually taught me this. I don't mind saying that. She is a very intelligent woman. But my wife always told me, under promise and over deliver. She didn't make it up. I'm pretty sure somebody else made that up. But that's what she taught me. I didn't know it at the time. So in understanding that you under promise and over deliver, you do the same thing with your finances. So you want to understate your income and overstate your expenses. That way you're bound to be successful. So if you think that you're going to make $100,000 this year, when you do your projections, say that you're going to make $80,000. Okay. So if you make the 100, you've over delivered. Okay. So you want to definitely underestimate your incomes and overestimate your expenses. That way you can be successful. Okay. All righty. We're getting through this and I'm going to speed up. All right. So cash flow. Cash flow is another statement. Now, cash flow is a little bit harder for people to understand. Typically, when you go into the bank for the first time, they probably will not ask for a cash flow statement. They may or may not. But some of the things that will go that you need to understand about cash flow is that it will affect your loans and equity. Okay, and the reason why they affect it because they want to know that you have enough cash flow to make payments on your loans. So if you've ever bought a car or a house, what you would hear them talk about is your debt ratio. Okay, most banks don't want your debt ratio to be higher than 36% if you're buying a house. Okay, so what they're looking at is for your monthly bills, for your monthly debt expenditures every month, they take that in consideration of how much income you have coming in. So your debt should be no more than 36% of your income. So if you make $1,000 a month, then your debt ratio can't be higher than, you can't have more debt than $360 a month in debt. Okay. Now, when you're buying a house, they're also considering how much your loan payment is going to be in that. So once they include the loan payment, it can't be 36%. Okay. So the cash flow is going to affect most other parts of your business. So cash flow has to do with how much cash do you have coming in your business, and cash is different than income and revenue. Okay, just to give you an example, if you do things on an invoice, and let's say you work with the federal government, if you work with the government, they will pay you in terms of 30 days, 45 days, sometimes 60 days. Okay, so you've already done the work, okay, which already cost you money because you did the work, okay, but then you're going to send them an invoice and it's going to take you a month to 2 months for you to receive that money. So that causes a cash flow issue because you don't have enough cash to operate today because you haven't gotten paid from the work you've already done. That's what's called a cash flow issue. Okay, so cash flow covers things that only have to do with cash. An income statement does not have anything to do with cash. It has to do with when you incurred income and expenses. I'm not going to go too far into that because that can get really deep. Okay, but you may have heard of depreciation. Okay, depreciation is a non-cash expense. Okay, so you buy a house. Okay, you can depreciate the house itself. Okay, so let's say the house was worth $35,000. You can depreciate the expense of the house over a 20-year period, but there was no cash that changed hands. All you're doing is basically writing down or basically expensing the use of the house over a 20-year period. Okay, so that does not affect your actual cash. Okay, goodwill. Okay, goodwill goes back to those intangible things. Goodwill are things that don't affect your cash flow. Okay, because if you created a logo for your business, and you build your brand, at some point your logo may be worth some money, but it's only worth money if you sell it. It does not affect your everyday cash. Okay, and then their return on allowance. For the sake of speeding up, I'm gonna skip over that. Skip over those pieces. Okay. All right. Next. All right, so let's get into management real quickly. So quick note, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while the defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. That's backwards, okay? That's not the way you want to go into this. So by you doing this business plan and you planning for certain things, you can already win the war because you already know what's going to happen because you have planned for where you're going with your business. At least you're closer to knowing what's going to happen. So you definitely want to plan, and we're going to talk about planning for your management. All right, so things to consider. Your team. Do you want to have employees or contractors? Okay, big question. Okay, do you need to have professional service providers? Okay. Now, when you're starting a business, paying somebody under the table is not a good idea. We can talk about that later. Okay. But there are a lot of businesses that do that, but I don't suggest it. Okay. In addition to that, a lot of people, because they don't want to pay the taxes, they would rather pay everyone as a contractor. Whereas that makes sense in some cases, there are a lot of times it doesn't make sense. There are reasons why you need to have someone counted as an actual employee and give them a W-2. You need to understand those rules. So you definitely should come to the SBDC and get some advice from either us or one of our other service partners like SCORE or Women's Business Center. You want to come to one of us and ask us about this so we can make sure that you're doing it correctly. And do this correctly from the beginning, because it gets much harder to solve this problem if you wait after the fact. Okay. Now, professional service advisors, professional service providers. I tell all my clients the two things you cannot deal without: a good lawyer and a good tax person, a good accountant. Okay. Those are two things you absolutely need to have. Okay. And it depends, there are different ways you can get those things done, but professional service providers are people who are doing things for you to help you run your business that you don't have either the know-how to do or the time to do, but basically you want to outsource it to someone else. So they are good ways of you saving money, because typically you only use them when you need them. So definitely consider who you want to have as your professional service advisors. Okay. You want to think about your compensation plan, how you're going to help people grow. Are you able to pay people enough for them to have a living wage? Is that even necessary? Or do you need to be able to pay somebody a high wage based upon the type of work that they're doing? Okay. Training is critical. Okay. Although you know your business and you know how you want your business to be run, you have to train people on how to run it the way you want it. You want your business to be run. Even if they have a skill set where they went to school and they learned how to do certain things, there still will probably be a minimum amount of training that you want to take them through so they can run business the way you want it run. So it's important for you to understand you're going to have to train your staff. Okay. What's your management style? Are you a micromanager or are you kind of laid back, hands off? Okay. So you need to kind of gauge as to which one are you. Okay. And then you want to definitely have a succession plan. So some of you guys are probably starting sole proprietorships where you're the only one running the business. Okay. Well, if you're going in and you're buying property and your business is going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and you have children or you have a spouse, then you want to have a succession plan. So what happens if you, for some reason, go in the hospital and you can't work? What happens to the business? What happens to your clients? What happens to the things that need to be taken care of? Okay. What happens if you die? How does the business pass on? Does it keep operating? Well, I guarantee you, if you got a couple of employees that are looking to have a check every 2 weeks, you want to have a succession plan because their lives depend on you. So you want to make sure that you have a way of making sure that that business continues to operate. All right. All right. So now we get into operations. Okay. Time. How much time do you have? Okay. Equipment, supplies, people power. What are your alternative plans if the business for some reason can't operate a certain way? So for instance, let's say the electricity goes out. Okay. You're a caterer. And you have some type of thing that you're doing. What do you do when the electricity goes out? That means your refrigerator is off. You have contingency plans on how to fix those things when bad things happen. So you definitely want to have contingency plans for when bad things happen. You need a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to definitely get to this particular section, and I'm almost done here. Just a few more minutes, and then we'll have some question and answers. Policies and procedures is a big thing. If you're trying to scale up a business, and you'll hear that term a lot, scaling up is basically when you've done as much as you can with your current operation, and now you need to expand by either buying equipment, buying property, or you might need to hire more employees so that you can make more, do more, and generate more revenue. Well, when you are having to do all of those things, you absolutely want to have policies and procedures, because this is the thing that creates a business that can survive you. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? All right. You're self-employed if the business only makes money when you're working. Okay. That's self-employment. Okay. When you have a business, the business can generate money when you're sleeping. That's the kind of business that you want to have. That's also the kind of business that you can pass on to someone else. That's also the kind of business that you can sell. Okay. If you don't have policies and procedures and have these things written so somebody else can do it without you being around, you don't have a business. You're self-employed. Okay. So when you start a business and you get down the line, once you get past doing your business plan and you start running the actual business, as you go along, you want to develop written policies and procedures so that somebody else can do what you're doing so that you don't have to do it. Okay, that's how you build a business that operates without you. All right, so now marketing. Another big area of business that we just cannot miss. Okay, and we are definitely going to cover a couple of these areas in the next two seminars. Okay, but marketing without data is like driving with your eyes closed. Okay, this is true. This is very true. Again, when you read the case study that we gave you, and in the case of Enrico and his business, he had no data. He was flying blind with his business. Okay, but again, in his case, it worked out for him. But that is not the majority of businesses. Businesses that don't have data and don't know their customer or know any of those actual things, those businesses typically fail. Okay. Now, that being said, we want to create a marketing plan for your business, and you should create a marketing plan in your business plan that will help you be successful in reaching your customers and generating revenue. Okay. Now, if you've ever gone to a marketing class, okay, you probably have heard of the 4 P's of marketing. That has been a standard in education, in marketing education for decades. Okay. But now those things have changed. Now there are 7 P's of marketing. Okay. Now the 7 P's actually was created in the 80s, but the 7 P's hasn't actually made it to most textbooks. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about this. But again, you can look up the 7 P's online. So just look up 7 P's of marketing, and you can find out more information about this. So what you're seeing right now, product, promotional, placement, and pricing, those have been the standard parts of marketing. Those are the standard 4 P's. Okay. So product, what it is you're selling. Is it something that's attractive to your buyer, to your target market? Promotions, how are you telling people about it? Placement, where is the product? Is it online? Is it in a physical location? Okay, where is the product? Okay, and then pricing. Of course, pricing matters, but it's not just about having a price. Do you offer discounts? Do you offer rebates? Do you have a buy one, get one free, a BOGO? Do you have any of those things? Those are all pricing strategies that help you sell. If you've ever been to McDonald's or any fast food restaurant, you are dealing with pricing strategies all the time because they have all kinds of deals. Okay. Okay, so now here are the other 3 parts of the 7 P's. So the first one is process. Okay. How you're going about doing something makes a difference to people. Like, for instance, there are a lot of companies now, they'll tell you whenever you buy this, they're giving, 10% to some local charity. Okay. So by them doing that, it's a part of their process, and they're making themselves attractive because they're doing something that is going to be attractive to you in their process and how they're going about doing certain things. So that too is a matter of marketing. It makes your business look good, and it makes people want to continue giving money to you. All right, next is physical evidence. Okay, physical evidence has to do with mainly packaging. How does the product look at the end of the day when it shows up? And even if you have a service business, physical evidence also can work in that case too. When someone comes to your office, does your office look junky? Do you have books on the shelf? Do you have a very nice desk? Is it the old school kind of desk, or is it the more modern looking, snazzy looking type of office? Those things play into the psyche of your customer. In the type of business that you're in, do you need to wear boots, some jeans, with a polo shirt with the business name on it? Or are you in the type of business where you need to be in a suit and tie, a dress, different things like that? All of those things are the physical nature of the marketing that you're doing for your business. I'll tell you real briefly this about my dad. I used to wear a lot of hoodies and sweats, and my dad said, "Where are you going looking like that?" And I'd say, I'm just going out. And he said, if you're going somewhere where your clients are going to be, you have a reputation that you're going to impact by the way you look. Now, he said that's not true in every place, but it's just something that you might want to consider, is how you're dressed based upon where you're going. If you're just going to hang out with your boys, that's one thing. But if you're going out and hanging out at a professional place where clients might see you, you may want to be dressed a certain way. So those are just some things that people have to take into consideration as it relates to the physical evidence of their brand and who they are, and what people see with your product or with your service. All right. And the last one are people. Now, I don't know how this got missed in the marketing mix, but people are extremely important. And particularly in these days, with the millennial marketplace that we have now, you'll hear a lot of new terminology that people are using, like brand ambassadors, affiliates. Those are the people who are out there selling using Instagram, using TikTok, and using those types of things. So a brand ambassador is basically somebody that you might pay, where they do an Instagram post holding up your product, or they're wearing it on a t-shirt. They're doing something that puts it out there that they are promoting your product or service. Those are people, okay? And so there are many different ways in which you can use people to promote your brand, your products, and your services. All right, okay. Last slide. So y'all tell me, is this good placement or bad placement? This is just a marketing example. I like to lead with this. I just find this very interesting and very, very funny, to be perfectly honest. Is this good placement of a product, or is this bad placement? Well, I would definitely say this is absolutely bad placement. So you're going to surprise your wife. I hope you ain't doing nothing you ain't supposed to do, because you're going to give her some knives. That sounds like a dangerous undertaking to me. But nonetheless, that's what this is. So this is absolutely bad product placement. Okay. So that's it for my presentation. I got this done in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So we are definitely open to any questions that you guys might have. I've enjoyed this. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. Any questions, comments, snide remarks? All right, so just to note real quickly as I get back to the beginning of the presentation. All right, so the idea behind this is you want to create a business plan for your business, and we want to help you get through that process with these workshops. Okay, so the first thing that you may want to do is start off with the canvas. That's the easiest thing to do from the beginning. So definitely get in contact with us so that we can do that. I will be sure to send out, I'll send out the SWOT analysis, as well as I will send out a PDF version of the business plan canvas so that you will have those things. But start there. But the idea at the end of this is we want to help you at least get a business plan put together. And there's a lot of good reasons why to do it. So let us help you with that.
Thanks, Gary. Excellent presentation. Really appreciate it. Yeah. And to follow up with what Gary just said, we're here to help you get a business plan done. Whether that means it's just kind of like a feasibility component of you just working through whether this is, the right thing for you to do, or if it's a plan to really get things started and go. We've helped hundreds of people do it and been through the process, and just having a consultant work with you saves you so much time and energy, and they help you think outside the box of things that you might not have considered a lot of times. So like Gary mentioned, this series will be there to help, and Gary did an excellent job of kind of showing you the whole process of the plan, from management to marketing to finance. But we'll do deeper dive next week into marketing with Karina Aiken, and which is an extremely important part of especially starting up, as Gary showed us. So definitely tune in for that and for the financial management in the third section. Um, and in the interim, if y'all have any questions, please, I'm going to put up one more time let's see, I'm going to put up the share my screen and put up our links. So these are our email addresses. Mine at the top, Gary's down there, third down. Reach out to any of us with a question, guidance, whatever. We'd be happy to help you. If you have questions about this lean business canvas as you go through it, let us know. We can help you. And if you look at the syllabus that was sent out to you, it lays out, what we're doing, and also it kind of tries to keep you on track as to what you should be doing to get a plan together. So, like when you leave this particular webinar, you should focus on the first part of that canvas, which you can see in the syllabus there that we wrote, where you should focus. Do a little bit at a time, instead of having to tackle the whole thing at once. And it makes things a lot easier. Take it out in little chunks. But thank you everyone for attending, and thank you Gary for doing such a great presentation. Gary has done so many of these and has become such a expert really at this particular topic, and he's a great resource along with all of our different consultants. So feel free to reach out to us, and hope you all can make it next week, and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.